Hey, friends, welcome into PHNX Cardinals podcast. Hard Knocks, Card Knocks After Dark. Hot damn, this is brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brock. A nice, simple episode brought to you by one of the most disappointing stares I've ever seen in my GD life, Bo Brock. It was like a parent looking at their kid after they just flunked the math test. Michael Bidwill, Kliff Kingsbury, post Tampa Bay. You should have fucking run it on 3rd and 1 with James Conner, Kliff. That's that look. Where do we begin?
I mean, Michael Bidwill gets out his Christmas best velvet coat, and he gets embarrassed. Up 16-6 in the fourth quarter, and they can't pull that out. You got Mike Evans at the end of the game telling Antonio Hamilton, y'all had that one. Y'all had that one. And that's also what Michael Bidwill's thinking in his head right there, too, is in behind Kliff Kingsbury. It's like Kliff Kingsbury's the son, and he's just telling his dad he flunked out of college, he can't go back at Christmas dinner, and that's the stare he gets, right? Yeah. I mean, that if a stare, if a picture, it's 1,000 words right there. But
let's get back on Jacob one more time. I need to see Bidwill Santa Claus in his red suit, ready to deliver not presents, but coal. Presents to the franchise in the form of a new regime. Coal to Kliff Kingsbury. And that look at just the body language on Kliff. No eye contact made. He knows his boss is 2 feet away from him, head on the head, looking down, right? Michael just dead stare, like you guys are an embarrassment. I'm going to gut this bitch. No one's safe. Look at that face. I've never seen him look like that before, ever.
No. I mean, they say a picture could say 1,000 words. This one says 2. You're fired. You're fired.
We like Kliff Kingsbury. He's a good dude. He's a good man.
Yeah.
You can't have one home win in 14 months. And again, I don't know if people thought, spirited, moral victory. No, losing's losing in the NFL. You know who likes moral victories? Losers. This team had that win, 3rd and 1, fourth quarter. We saw it. Bo just talked about it. You ram James Conner, who you're paying a premium, down the middle, you convert, you win the game. He gets cute again. Too cute to look at his owner right now. Tough place to be, Bo.
Do you think he got cute on that with the pitch because they were gashed by the pitch like the previous week? Like the Denver Broncos were able to get like huge, massive gains on a pitch. He's like, is he that as far as a play caller? He's like, hey, I'm going to steal from them.
Like what Eddie Hackett's doing.
Taken from the guy who just got sent his walking papers. He just got pink slipped by.
Look at this here. All right. Oh, now he's out of the league. All his secrets are mine now.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it took about 46 and a half minutes, and there it was. That was the reason you tuned in to Hard Knocks, and now it's why you're tuning in to Card Knocks tonight. Yeah. I mean, it was there was a couple of things that stood out, but I mean, after that awkward moment, it probably was on your screen. I mean, it's on Johnny Venerable's Twitter right now, and I think what's the runtime on that? It had to have been at least 47 minutes because it felt like it.
It's at least 7 to 10 seconds. So full transparency, that part aired, and I immediately was like, my wife was trying to talk to me. I'm like, please, honey, I have to videotape this. I have to put it on Twitter because a lot of people don't have HBO, and God bless you who haven't even watched this and come watch us. That's awesome. I sent it to my dad. He's like, what's this from? When was this? And I'm like, no. This was right after Tampa. This was like 3 days ago. So it needed to be showcased to the world. Like, if that's not an insight and they're giving full clearance, like if Kliff Kingsbury doesn't know JJ Watt's retiring and Kyler Murray's having surgery soon, he sure as hell doesn't know that clip's going to be on Hard Knocks. I texted Bo like a third into the show. And if you were to sit somebody down that had no idea about the Arizona Cardinals, they would think Vance Joseph is the head coach. He's featured in like every segment. He opens like every episode now, whether he's walking with the other coaches or this week talking about Budda Baker and JJ Watt. And for good reason. He commands the room. He's good in front of people. I do think he's a pretty good coach. Kliff's just like, it literally, Kyler Murray and Kliff Kingsbury could not be in this show less, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't know that these are the two guys that are leading the charge the last almost almost 4 seasons, and they're not. I mean, a great point by Cardinals update. What about Kliff leaving the locker room before halftime, pretty much saying, "Hey, get to Budda for him to kind of rally the troops here before going out and holding on to this and increasing this lead and beating Tom Brady." Budda's got you. As you mentioned, Vance Joseph's the guy that's kind of leading the charge as far as the facility. He's saying the things with substance, saying, hey, guys, you got to put this on film. We got a future Hall of Famer in J.J. Watt. We got a 5-time Pro Bowler, Budda Baker, putting it all out on the line, putting every single ounce in like blood, sweat, and tears into their effort and trying to right this ship. Yeah. And, the rest of you guys, we can see you're out of position. We can see as far as if you're not getting leverage, we can see if you're not giving effort on every single play. And we just see Kliff Kingsbury. We say at halftime, turn to Budda for your inspiration before you go out there to the playing field. And then afterwards, when he's got his owner right there, where he's got to say something, a little profound, say something with 2 games left. This is all you got. This is probably your last chance as being a head coach. This is your opportunity to say something that's going to inspire these guys and kind of take away from this brutal, just catastrophic loss on prime time to Tom Brady, it's a 10-point lead that you squandered. And all he's got is the same thing that we've seen every episode after every loss. There was nothing more to it. It was just an empty message that we've heard before.
And it's the same reason why they brought J.J. Watt into Arizona. They needed better leadership. Michael Bidwill is like, we got to have better leadership. Maybe just get a coach that can command the locker room. I don't know. Our guy Tyler Drake posted this on Twitter, and it rings true. It's like Michael Bidwill's in a lot of episodes now. Is that like to brace for the inevitable that's going to happen in 2 weeks? Like, hey, guys, let me slowly start to reintroduce myself to you, America, because you're going to be seeing a lot more of me when Kliff Kingsbury is gone. I mean, he had that speech to begin last week's episode. Keim's gone, right? He gives the speech about guys cutting corners. And then this week, he gives Kliff Kingsbury the stare, and then kind of Vance Joseph. I didn't catch it at the beginning. I almost rewound it, but I didn't. Talking about potentially I have to explain the effort plays here. Like, I can explain you're out of assignment, you don't know what you're doing, but how am I supposed to explain this? Is that in reference to his one-on-one or his 2-on-1 Kliff and Michael kind of powwow they do every week? Because
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that at all.
I took that as, hey guys, I have to talk to Michael Bidwill and you're making me look bad and you're making yourself look bad. That was uncomfortable.
No. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what that is. And I mean, if you don't know what we're talking about, it was, Kliff Kingsbury said at some point during this disastrous season that Michael Bidwill sits in it on Mondays film sessions with Vance Joseph and Kliff Kingsbury and watches it. And I'm sure, they're pointing out and they're breaking down the film and looking at it. And they have to come up with a reason of why a lot of these plays. Yeah. VJ said, how the hell am I supposed to explain your effort? Basically. Thanks, Mike Maris. He shouldn't have to, right? And then you've got Sean Jefferson, it was great at the very end, what he was doing, kind of educating people on the late great Franco Harris, but also, he was one of those guys, I think it was during practice, that was just trying to get guys to focus and really kind of light a fire. I mean, and it wasn't just kind of like, hey, well, we didn't get this one, but we really want to get one before the end of the year. Like, it was more than that. There was some substance to it. There was coaching going on. And I feel like we can't, you can have guys that are just scheme guys, right? You can have guys that just kind of build game plans, and you can have guys that just call plays, but he can't be your head guy, right? I just get the, the more and more we see this team and this brand of football, you see that that's not a successful way forward.
Vance is like, help me make my case for you. And it's like, Vance, there's 3 weeks left in this season. There's 3 weeks left of likely you coordinating this defense. Like, I know you have to say those kind of things, but if we're preaching effort and they're not picking up what you're grasping, when a lot of these players have been under your guidance and tutelage for 4 years, it's never going to happen. And I think that's what Michael Bidwill is slowly starting to find out, or he's already found it out based on that stare. Let's see that stare one more time, Jacob. This is the stare of a man saying, we are who we are. It's a broken product. I got to fix it. And what Michael Bidwill should just do from now on is just, I wouldn't make an appearance these next 2 weeks. I found out what I need to find out. They're on the road. I saw something before the show that they haven't won, I think, somebody posted this. I can't remember who it was, that they haven't won in Atlanta in 30 years. So for everybody, including myself, that thinks this is going to be an easy dub, it's been a couple decades since they've won in the old ATL. But I mean,
longer in Minnesota.
I would say it's probably in the same ballpark. Maybe when's I can't remember them
have 2 streaks like that. That's brutal.
Oh, but it is our blessed Cardinals. Mike saying Kliff's body language at the end in the locker room. Yikes. Head down, eyes down, tail between his legs, right in front of Bidwill. I think he's just, what can you even say at this point? You're a lame duck in all actuality. You lost your quarterback. I'm sure Kliff, based on the ESPN article, feels like, no pun intended, he's not playing with a full deck, thus he can't succeed. He doesn't have the guy who hired him that pushed for him and Steve Keim. He didn't have a relationship with Michael Bidwill 4 years ago. And then he just had a press conference, what was it, 8 months ago, signing an extension with this guy 9 months ago. And now they're in a position where he's going to lose his job, and so is the GM. It's unprecedented, yet 100% absolutely necessary. You can't lose this much. You've become, like, we laugh at the Browns and the Lions because they're big-time joke franchises. You've become the Lions. This is what the Lions do. The Lions have one home win in like a calendar month. You want to be the Detroit Lions, or do you want to fix it? Because if you stick with status quo, or even somebody texted me before the show, and I don't want to get into the whole coaching dilemma and what they shouldn't do. And the last 2 coaching hires you've made are guys that have not been head coaches before. You can't do that again. You need to hire somebody who's been a head coach that's commanded a room. And Steve Wilkes may be benefiting even from that shit year with the Cardinals now in his interim basis with Carolina. That, to me, you have to, even more so than a specific side of the ball, even more so than your resume, Ben Johnson scoring all these points, D'Amico Ryan coordinating this defense, you got to pick somebody that can lead men, because you don't have that now. Yeah,
it's but I mean, as far as your candidates, I mean, the one I know we all want Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, who's in town for the Fiesta Bowl and the college football playoff. That would be great. But then you start to look at it. If you're looking for experience, I mean, you have to really kind of open things up. That probably brings back a guy who hasn't been a coach for a long time, like Jim Caldwell, right? Last time we saw him,
they should have hired him for part of his last offseason.
I mean, you'd have to start digging into that, and I don't even know if the organization would go that route at this point, right? I mean, they're going to try again, and it's going to be because he's probably going to be doing it with what he learned with Keim, and you wish you would learn the lessons throughout the processes that have been failures, but you don't know. You don't know. I mean, everything he knows about hiring a coach, he's done hand in hand with Steve Keim. We'll see what Adrian Wilson and Quentin Harris potentially could bring to the table, but there are also guys who have worked under Steve Keim most of their careers. So I know that I've preached before that you can't like completely buy into that they can't be successful just because they've worked for Steve Keim. But I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think that it's just very limited as far as player or head coaches that are available.
I know
that have experience.
Especially because you can't, for the life of you, go to the college ranks and get a college head coach again like Kliff. You can't. Coordinators that haven't been head coaches, I would say this is a very big challenge for a first-time head coach to come into this team based on the toxicity that's surrounding a lot of these pieces of this franchise. That's why we keep talking about it, a plug and play. And Sean Payton, we're going to continue to harp on it, went to New Orleans and overcame Hurricane Katrina and immediately put the New Orleans Saints on the map and elevated everybody. I mean, some guys are just made for these kind of situations. And Michael Bidwill, you can't go cheap, right? I don't think you can go internally either. I love Adrian Wilson. I hope that, if he's given an opportunity, he's given a fair shot. But I also think that if you go Adrian Wilson or Quentin Harris, especially A-Dub, in this specific instance, you're going with somebody that you feel like, well, the fan base is going to back me because they love A-Dub. They're comfortable with that. When in reality, we talk to most people in the chat, we all love Adrian Wilson. We want him to be a part of the franchise. I mean, you don't have this kind of streak of losses on and off the field and expect just to promote from within.
Right. And I don't think, and this is no like disrespect to Adrian Wilson. I think if you let him leave this building, this organization, and he goes on and he takes the next step as far as the front office and obviously a scout, like are people going to be like, oh, he was the one that got away. He was going to be the one that was going to turn around this franchise. I think he can go. It's not like him leaving as a player and how defeating it was when he went to join the New England Patriots, because you felt like that was going to be something where it was going to burn you. It didn't at the end of the day. But I think as far as the fan base wants just a fresh look at this, wants some fresh new ideas and something completely different that they haven't had since 1994. It's absurd. They haven't found an external candidate as far as the front office goes, the GM position, since 1994. So I love it. Cardinals update. Speak Sean Payton to Arizona into existence. We've got some updates as far as Payton, just kind of reading different things, Pro Football Rumors. You've got Pro Football Talk and Mike Florio, his take on it today. You know, is there a reunion in the works as far as New Orleans? We'll definitely get into that. But let's get into the conversation about our PHNX tea party that's going down. It's happening January 13th, Dobson Ranch Golf Club. It's going to be an unbelievable event that you have to get yourself to. You can bring the family to kids 10 and under, play for free youth clinic going on. As I said, January 13th, that's a Friday at 5:30. Food, drink, merchandise, contests, and prizes. We're going to have all sorts of things going on. They've got bays where you can, tee it up with us. You can see how long you can hit it. You can see how accurate you are with the irons. Get out there. Join us at Dobson Ranch in Mesa for the PHNX Tea Party. You can register today. We got a link in the show notes. If you're a diehard, you can save some money on that as well. And it's brought to you by our friends at Four Peaks. So you're going to have the delicious Four Peaks brew out there as well. Big thank you to them. If you're looking for a place to watch the final 2 weeks of the NFL season, go check it out at Four Peaks. Get some great food, great drinks, great atmosphere, and get your tickets to the PHNX Tea Party in the description.
If you're wondering what the line is, again, if you weren't on our earlier show today at 4 p.m., PHNX Cardinals Live, Cardinals are a 3-point underdog at Atlanta, and you can dabble on that game if you so choose on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I have not been able to find a J.J. Watt anytime touchdown prop, but I think it's coming. Shane said, he knows some people DraftKings. He's going to make some calls for us, but in the meantime, what you have to do, really ahead of Cowboys-Titans tomorrow, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code PHNX. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game. Just $5. If you're a new customer, get a $150 bet instantly in free bets. So you put $5 on Dallas tomorrow, they win. Boom, $150 in free bets instantly into your account. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Promo code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details. We're keeping the party moving here on Card Knocks After Dark. Bull Brock, Johnny Venerable. Let me ask you this. Are there 2 episodes left? Do we got one next week and then one? Do we get a week after episode even though the season's over? Do you think
I believe so?
The crescendo, Black Monday crescendo episode? That's got to be the most anticipated episode to date.
Yeah, I think it's definitely got to go down, kind of wrap up everything that we saw. The final game, obviously, will be on the road against San Francisco, and they'll kind of just do a little exit interview, at least from what I remember, against the Colts or for the Colts last year. And they didn't have any firings or anything. Frank Reich was retained, even though they had a disastrous season finale where they could have punched their ticket to the postseason and couldn't beat Jacksonville at the time, who it was they had an interim coach because they had fired Urban Meyer before the end of the season. So this one could be, this is the second season of in-season Hard Knocks, so could be the most dramatic if there are changes come January 9th.
Interesting enough, we've got Han in the chat. Great name, Han. Bidwill needs to stop hiring and keeping friends and family. His father made the same mistakes. 100%. I mean, I get to work with my close friends here at PHNX, but I made them through PHNX. I didn't bring them with me here. I'd want to fire everybody I know if they were on PHNX Cardinals with me now, because they'd be so upset with me on PHNX Cardinals because this team can't get it together, and none of us would keep our composure like Bo Brock. But in all seriousness, I remember Bill Bidwill. It was in the family, right? It was kind of like what Jerry Jones has done with Stephen Jones, right? It's like all his sons and kids and nephews are all dabbling in the draft process, and that's why that situation is so chaotic. Michael's in a unique position. I mean, he's not married, doesn't have any kids, right? He's close with his family. He's got a sister who helps out with the organization from time to time. But, he could literally say, nope, I'm going to get all new business associates, new business partners, bring them in, right, and let them run the show, and I'm going to delegate to them. And I really do think that's the best way for immediate success. But, Bo, you've talked about it to me before. The Cardinals don't have like a once upon a time John Elway team president. They don't have somebody like that. They've got a bunch of kind of business partners, associates, maybe some people who are dabbling in the football operations that shouldn't be. And then there's a Keim and a Kliff and everybody else. The organizational structure for the Cardinals is unusual. And that's something else I think a lot of people feel like needs to be fixed.
Yeah. I mean, we'd love to see it. I mean, it's one of the things you didn't really think about because, I mean, I've been around this organization now this full season. As far as you don't think that they lack the president, that's the role that's assumed along with being the owner. And it was Michael's title until his dad did pass away last year. So it's something that you would hope that this organization is just trying to get more people in there instead of this being this like 2-person brain trust that it's been for far too long, where it's been Bidwill and then Keim. And then when we talked to Josh Weinfuss on ESPN after from ESPN about his bombshell report with Jeremy Fowler, and said that, for weeks, Keim has been pretty much AWOL for the most part. You asked, where has he been? And he said, we don't know. We don't know.
Before his leave of absence. That's important to know.
And before that, Kliff Kingsbury, according to Weinfuss and ESPN, he felt like Steve Keim was no longer a resource. His general manager was no longer a resource to him, the head coach of a football team. It's just absurd. And to not have anybody else in the building to say, hey, what the fuck? Right? I mean,
how about that comment when Keim and Kliff went to Michael earlier in the season and asked for something and were vetoed? You have to wonder, maybe Michael made a decision then, like, I've made a mistake. We're going to let things play out this year. You're not getting more money to sign whatever. You're not getting future resources. I mean, God love him. We were clamoring for trades before the deadline, and who knows, maybe Michael Bidwill was behind the scene like, more trades. I'll give you a ham sandwich for Robbie Anderson. You guys can't win a game. Playoffs. Deadline.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, you look at the coach and the quarterback that they just signed to a massive extension, the biggest in the history of the franchise. Yeah, he was playing his worst football to date. And then you had the GM who just whiffed on several trades. Trayvon Mullen couldn't get on the playing field at all. It wasn't. He didn't have the opposite of the Midas touch. Whatever he touched turned to shit. And for them to like have the audacity or the confidence to go up and hey Mike, can we get a couple of cap dollars to pull the trigger on this and sell some more draft capital? He's like, no. The team that you just asked for this entire offseason and all the extensions and all the players, they're not performing. Get that right first. And it's probably the beginning and the end. Complete speculation on our behalf, but more speculation real quick. As far as, because this is the Hard Knocks episode recap, JJ Watt kneeling in the middle of the locker room post game. It feels like he was going to say something, but we didn't see it at all. Do you think there was more to that? Do you think he was telling the guys that was his final home game? It would go against everything we heard today at the press conference.
No one tells the truth to the media at this facility. We know that.
Right.
We get told lies left and right. Where we're not considering a move, and then 2 minutes later you leave the facility and a move is made. Right. So I think everything's on the table. I think there's a chance JJ Watt addressed the team. But I mean, who knows? Did it even seem appropriate to do? Maybe there was some rumblings, but then like the Jesse Luketa video, when did that come out? When did that go down about him, getting his wisdom teeth pulled? And did that happen on Monday?
Now hold on. Let's set this up because let's give it some proper due because this is hilarious.
The show.
Yeah, okay. No, it's okay. It's perfect. You somehow stumbled your way into a transition. It was nice. So JJ Watt at his retirement press conference today told this hilarious story about rookie linebacker, pass rusher Jesse Luketa at Penn State, late round draft pick for the Cardinals, and he found out that JJ Watt was retiring as he woke up from anesthesia after getting his wisdom teeth pulled. And this producer Jacob, who's behind the scenes tonight, he's got the video. This is JJ Watt breaking down this weird exchange he had with Jesse Luketa on Tuesday after he announced his retirement on social media.
So then I'm like, I laugh my ass off. I mean, I'm dying laughing. So I FaceTime him, and he answers, and he is still gone. I mean, just completely gone. And I'm like, Jesse, what are you doing? And he's like, yeah, I just want a jersey. And like, he's just like, he can't speak whatsoever. And then like 4 hours later, I get a text from Jesse. He goes, I still want that jersey, man. He goes, but I'm sorry for the call. They had literally just told me when I woke up from the anesthesia that you're retiring. And I was like, when I tell you I was dying laughing, it was the funniest. I'll see if I can get him. I'll get his permission to give me the clip because it's gold. It's gold.
So Jesse, look at it.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, and there's more to it. You can see it on PHNX_Cardinals Twitter. You've got it. It's about 2 minutes worth, and he just goes through this whole thing because he posted on social media, and then his JJ Watt basically says he puts his phone down for a while, it just explodes, right, with every outpouring of responses to this, him kind of dropping a bombshell, and then and he's getting his random. He got a voice text from Luketa, and because he's got cotton balls in his mouth, and he just had his wisdom teeth removed, he can't understand what the hell he's saying. So, he tries to FaceTime him, and JJ's like, I don't know this number. I'm not picking up the FaceTime, this rando. And then next thing he knows, it's Luketa. He texts him, and he finally FaceTimes him back, and that's where we picked it up. And he's got he talks to him, and he's still just completely mollywopped by the anesthesia. And it's the David viral video. Is this real life? But it's Cardinals rookie linebacker Jesse Luketa.
It is real life. You know what else is real life? I checked overthecap.com. We were speculating Robbie Anderson's cap hit next year, $12 million. Speaking of a midseason trade acquisition that has gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, but there's no dead money, right? They just cut him, right?
Right. Yeah, he won't be returning. So that'll be Cody Ford gone, free agent, Trayvon Mullen gone, Robbie Anderson likely gone. Cardinals update. If you weren't a fan of the NFL and watched Hard Knocks, you wouldn't know Kyler, $250 million quarterback for this team. You'd think Colt McCoy is QB1. And I believe that has nothing to do with the injury. He was barely on the show when he was healthy and playing. And I know he's missed time, and he missed the Mexico City game with a lower body injury, but man, it's the two most prominent people within this franchise. Kliff has now been overshadowed by Vance Joseph, and Kyler Murray has less run time than somebody like Will Hernandez, with all due respect, or I don't know, Antonio Hamilton, certainly. You would never know it. They might as well have done hard knocks during training camp, because you're not getting the star players anyway. You're not getting we wanted insight into Kyler Murray, and we know Kyler Murray was around the team recently. He's not in the film room. He's not in the QB room. Did you think that was odd, by the way, that they were prepping for this week and Kyler's not there? Is that normal for a player? Because I'm watching that, I'm thinking to myself, he hasn't had a surgery yet. He's not in rehab. He's been around the team. Should he be in the film study room with Colt and Trace and those guys, helping him get ready? Or is that not normal?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, sometimes you'll see injured players stay away from the team. And with this team, you've seen it for the most part. I mean, Rodney Hudson, Justin Pugh, but those are guys who are vets, and those are guys that have been IR'd way long ago. So I don't know what the philosophy is on that.
Byron was IR'd. He was in the
he was. Yeah, we did see him. I mean, he was just IR'd, wasn't he? Last week. Yeah. So he was IR'd during the week, and maybe there's a chance. It is.
This team, man. Somebody in the chat, Mike says in the chat, Sean Kugler had more FaceTime than Kyler Murray. Listen, you can't get the higher and lower for Kyler Murray's finale on Hard Knocks, but you can take the higher and lower for underdog fantasy points for Cardinals at Falcons this weekend. Let me tell you, Underdog Fantasy does daily fantasy sports different. None of this hogwash, year-long fantasy garbage where you're stuck with your same starry-ass team from August to January. No. Draft your team daily against 5 of your friends, and the highest scoring squad for the night wins that cold, hard cash. Draft up to 6 NBA players with no positional limits, and bang, you're rocking and rolling with Underdog Fantasy. Will Devin Booker hit the higher end points? Well, he's not playing. How about Deandre Ayton, who is having a big game tonight? It's super easy to get started. All you got to do, go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app, sign up with promo code, you guessed it, PHNX, and get this. Underdog Fantasy is going to match your first deposit up to $100. So you put in $100, bam, you get out $100, only with Underdog Fantasy, only with PHNX. Promo code using Underdog Fantasy. Get in on the action today, Bo.
we had some family in town for the holidays, and we realized the error of our ways as far as what we lack as far as a guest room. We're going to have to hook things up. Our guests, we got to take better care of them going forward. And the way we're going to do that is our friends over at More Furniture. I thought, we had More Furniture, had our living room dialed in. Our dining room was looking good. And our guests they loved it until it was time to go to bed. And
then the water bed.
Yeah, then it was. They were swish-swashing around. They were on the high seas all night long, and they're tired of it. They want us to upgrade our furniture. The best way to do that right now is More Furniture. It's always a good time to check out what's going on at morfurniture.com, morefurniture.com. They got the white glove delivery. You received our office furniture that way. They bring it in. They do all the heavy lifting literally for you, and they set it up exactly how you want it set up. They don't just slap it down on your doorstep. The white glove delivery, they'll bring it right inside, and they'll set it up. Get that perfect feng shui that you need for your living room, dining room, your bedroom, wherever it might be. I don't even know what it means. I've heard it a long time, and I just regurgitated it. But all thanks to More Furniture. I'm going to be a better host for any guests going forward. Check them out, morefurniture.com.
It's funny. I love when you do those reads because slowly but surely we just migrate from one Bo Brock room to another of your house as you continue to redo everything.
So damn affordable.
Furniture. It is. Dylan Richard, Johnny, I was hoping you would get another fuck from Bidwill tonight. Listen, I feel like that's coming. You lose to Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati with a rag arm, and God love Desmond Ridder. He's a great college quarterback. You lose to this Atlanta team. I mean, is there a chance, Bo? We didn't talk about this on PHNX Cardinals. We'll get into it now. No. You lose Sunday, no matter it's by 3 or by 30. Is there a chance he could get fired before the finale and you just make Vance Joseph the interim? Or is that a completely wasted effort and you just, no matter what, he's guaranteed these next 2 weeks?
I mean, we were saying it earlier this season when we were speculating on this because it's been such a disastrous season. You've got like a Spencer Whipple, right, who kind of ran the show, at least on the offensive side of the football against Cleveland, and that was very successful, right? That was a big win last season. You got Cam Turner, who probably knows this offense as well as Kliff. But you've got Whipple now working with the running backs. You've got your old tight ends coach running with your offensive line. You've got Cam Turner, who's pretty much the guy who's running the quarterback room. And then I know you'd be like, well, Kliff, what would you say you do here from the two Bobs in office space? But I just think at this point, you're so close to the finish line, right? Just ride this thing out. And if you're Bidwill, like, do you at this point, do you want to win? How much does that do it for you as an owner? I mean,
you don't think there's any benefit to going to Vance and say, hey, I relieve Kliff of his duties. We're going to have whomever call plays this week, but you're in charge. I want you to lead the team into San Francisco, the game plan, so I can evaluate you and everybody else. But I just feel like for me to get my best look at you, or is that insulting with 1 week left? Did that need to be done around the bye week a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think that ship has sailed. At this point, you just ride it out, and you figure it out. But you have to be ready, right? You have to be ready because we already see there's blood on in the water for Sean Payton. So many suitors already kind of lining up, putting on their Sunday best to have their meeting with Sean Payton, including his old employer, current employer, whatever you want to say. He's under contract with the Saints through 2024. So. Yeah, man, we should let's touch on Sean before we get out of here. Let's touch on D-Hop before we get out of here. But one thing I want to point out, one last thing from this Hard Knocks episode is the toughness of Budda Baker. My God, the guy he kind of got tripped up over Zaven Collins, right, and fractures his shoulder.
And he didn't even grab his shoulder.
No, didn't miss a single play. Didn't miss a single play. They show him hitting guys around the goal line, just a few plays later. I mean, we don't deserve Budda Baker. And the two guys that were singled out by Vance Joseph kind of opened that episode, JJ and Budda. It's like JJ's retiring, and now Budda Baker is like he's 1-1 on that team. And that's really unfortunate. Like going forward, I know that people want a whole lot of change, but you've only got one guy that's like a dog on your defense right now. Zach Allen is a guy that's going to hit free agency. And then outside, like you like Jalen Thompson, right? He's been kind of had a quiet year, but still steady. But I mean, as far as like true dogs, you've got one of 11 defenders.
I was thinking about it today. Like, I think the secondary has been pretty damn good this year. I'm not saying the defense has been good. They've been giving up a lot of points, but like, when was the last time the secondary outside of Mexico City, they got torched for like 4 or 5 passing touchdowns? It hasn't really happened this year. So I actually like what they have in the back seven led by Budda Baker, but you're right. Like, everybody wants to annoy Zach Allen, and he's not JJ Watt Jr. He's benefiting, I think, by playing next to JJ Watt and learning from him. But is he a dog? Is he an ass kicker? Is he a battle it out guy to the end? What do you call it? Like a trenches kind of guy that you want to go to war with? Or can you find somebody better this offseason? And if you can, and they cost more, then you pay a premium for a premium. Because I think, with all due respect to Zach Allen, I think the Cardinals could do better. I mean, just the Cardinals have never been able to consistently stop the run with Zach Allen in the lineup. And you could say that's a difference of defensive philosophy. And it's a plague by Vance Joseph's 3-4 scheme. Okay, well, whomever's the next defensive coordinator, I'll let him watch 2 years worth of tape on Zach Allen and Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons, and he can make an assessment if and when and how to play them. And if Zach Allen is worth bringing back, the new defensive coordinator could come back and say, I don't want Byron Murphy or Zach Allen. I want my own guys from my own team who are also in free agency, or I want these players in the draft. And you're giving up 32 points a game. Part of it is on the players. It's not just on Vance Joseph. I've seen Vance Joseph coordinate enough top 12 to 15 defenses. I'm all right with that. But let's do it. Let's get into the Sean Payton stuff because, Bo, there's a lot of mixed messaging right now. Mike Florio, yeah, he's good at his job. He loves to stir the pot over at Pro Football Talk. Every other day, my guy Bo Brock is credited with an article at ProFootballTalk.com. But here's what I will say. I do not think there's an opportunity for Sean Payton to return to New Orleans. I'll tell you why. You don't give Dennis Allen that opportunity and then take it away from him. With a team that's in disarray, that team had Peter King picked them to make the Super Bowl. That was stupid. They had no expectations. They lose Jameis Winston, which is not a player he saddled his career to. A bunch of their players are kind of MIA. They're in a weird transition period. Michael Thomas could be gone. They've had injuries up and down the roster. I would argue he's done a lot with less, including with a guy like Chris Olave. I think they want to ride it out with him at least another year. And if you're Sean Payton, like, don't you want a fresh start? This is what Bruce Arians got once upon a time, and it led to a Super Bowl.
It was such a weird, as you said, unprecedented return. I mean, 16 seasons with a team, and then he kind of like had them panicking pretty much. I mean, it was during the Super Bowl last year. Before the Super Bowl, where he just kind of decided to hang him up, and they had to go. They were doing all these interviews, and they liked Allen, and they tabbed him the coach, and then through a season's worth where they lose Jameis for a little bit, they go with Andy Dalton, and Alvin Kamara hasn't been the same, and they've dealt with a bunch of defensive injuries. I just think it would be weird for him to say that, like Florio said today, that it's the worst kept secret. I just don't buy that. I think that's a little too hot takey for me. Like the fact, like to say it's a potential. Yeah, I'll buy that. Like for sure. Yeah, like he obviously he has relationships there, no doubt about it. He has some great memories, but from what we've seen from the very jump about Sean Payton returning to coaches, he wants to be close to LA. And, geographically, that doesn't add up. I know it's a little short. It's probably 3.5 hour flight from New Orleans to LA. But he want, and then they're going to figure out the quarterback situation before or after, or like when. He's not going to bring in Tom Brady, who's going to be 46 years old.
But he's trying to build a sustainable winner. They don't have they're going to lose their top 10 pick this year. Do they not have a top 10 pick? They traded away last year to trade up. So I don't think they have their top 10 pick. I could be wrong. Maybe that was last year when they traded up for, I can't remember. Did they trade up for Chris Olave and now they don't have a top? Is that who the Eagles pick is through? Is through the New Orleans Saints? I think it is. I don't think they have their first round pick this year. So Sean, you can't even get the heir apparent at quarterback. You're in cap hell. A lot of your best players are on the way out. And also, like, you're friends with Dennis Allen and his family. And you're just going to come back into town and say, no, Dennis, you're the defensive coordinator again. Like the coaching fraternity, that's not a good look. Plus,
he's going to Jay Leno it. Remember Jay Leno left the Tonight Show and gave
he's going
to
to Conan O'Brien, Dennis Allen. Come on now. Here's what I will say. It's like winning a Super Bowl in New Orleans when they had never won anything meant more than going to San Francisco and winning their 5th or 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Arizona and winning a Super Bowl for the team that has the longest championship drought in all sports. It's like when what's his name went to the Cubs and they built a winner, Theo Epstein. That's what it would be like. You're legendary. Anybody can go to the Rooneys and win, with all due respect to Mike Tomlin. Anybody can go to New England. You go to a franchise like New Orleans and then subsequently Arizona and win with the Bidwells that have never won anything consistently. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that another coach may have 3 or 4 championships. You are immortalized. You've got titles where the Saints were the Aints. They wore bags over their heads. They're back to being the Aints, with all due respect to Dennis Allen. So I wonder if that makes a difference. You get everything in Arizona. You get the weather, you get the quarterback, you get the draft pick. Hopefully you get to handpick your own GM, a la Jeff Ireland, and you have a chance to win where nobody else has won ever. And it's a division, by the way. You talk about non-sustainability at quarterback. You're going to get Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, right? Brock Purdy's playing well this year, but let's contextualize it. Geno Smith potentially, or like a rookie. And then what's left of Matthew Stafford in the twilight years of his career?
Yeah, like a reanimated corpse of Matthew Stafford.
Reanimated, right? You're in a position where you could come in and win right away. You can't do that in New Orleans.
Derek John, tell me more about it. Cam Jordan is a unrestricted free agent.
Yeah,
Michael to Chandler High School.
He's toast.
No, I'm talking like let's get Peyton here. We'll bring Jordan in for the twilight of his career. Kind of a JJ Watt edition. Does everything right on and off the field. He'd be a nice rotational pass rusher for the Cardinals. I'm here for that. Absolutely.
For the people, real quick, for the people who think we're too negative now at the end of the year, first of all, have you watched this team? If they hire Sean Payton, I will celebrate every waiver wire move like it's the Super Bowl. I will overblow every acquisition. No matter how
there it is.
They signed X player from the CFL or from the XFL for the vet minimum. Championship. Get ready to tolerate that.
He's the next Marcus Colston. I'm telling you.
The Hall of Fame. He's seen comps to Jimmy Graham. It's unbelievable. Every draft pick they have, if it's a running back, will be compared to Kamara. It will be
injected into my veins.
We'll go on that journey together, Bo.
Yeah, we will. We'll be Thelma and Louise holding hands, driving in the converter.
But there is no Kliff with Sean Payton. There's only a Kliff with Kliff Kingsbury, and we've reached it. We're down at the bottom in flames.
Oh, there it is.
No.
It does seem bad, doesn't it? I mean, just look at Bidwill. It's just written all over his face.
I'm going to wear my red suit. First of all, the confidence of Mike to wear that suit on a night where it's Trace McSorley versus Tom Brady, and you've won one home game in 14 months. You got to have some confidence in yourself. Like, I'm wearing this red suit tonight. I'm going out on top. I'm not getting heckled by nobody. And my coach is terrible, and we can't win at all.
It's like he didn't know. He's like, I have to be serious while wearing this velvet jacket. I have to be dead serious.
Look at me. Talk about what's going on with Deandre Hopkins liking a tweet. Do we need to talk about that?
I think I saw in the chat earlier that somebody said it was photoshopped. Is that possible? I mean, then also there was the conversation that he was having with James Conner. James Conner, who had no decorations on his wall or his shelves while he was being profiled on Hard Knocks. It looked like the loneliest mansion outside of Kliff Kingsbury's Paradise Valley place. At least get some lion art up on the walls, my friend. I mean,
those are going to be on eBay so fast in 2 months. Those lion prints.
Come on, he's gonna get a buyout where he can buy all the lion art his little heart desires.
That's true.
No, but it was interesting. I mean, as far as Jackson's saying he unliked it. So somebody must have said, "Hey,
more plausible."
I had an accidental the other day. I was just scrolling Twitter and I unliked. No, I mean it was nothing. It was harmless. It was whatever. But I noticed how easily it is, especially when you're scrolling on the app. Do you think that's a possibility, or is it?
No, it has his name in it. If it was like an ad for like Applebee's appetizers or something, whoops, you know what? I'm more of a TGI Fridays guy, and you keep scrolling. can't let my allegiance TGI Fridays go under the gun here. No, it has his name on it. He probably searched his name on Twitter, which some people are known to do. Not this guy. I never do that. And then he liked it. He's like, oh yeah, could be on the move. Definitely a possibility. Thanks, NFL rumors.
So we got pick and spreads confirmed. D-Hop liked it. So it wasn't just a photoshopped on it. So it was the NFL rumors tweet saying spread. Yeah. So that, and I think, do we still have it, Jacob? Do we still have the tweet? You might unlike it, but it lives forever on the internet.
Well, we were literally live 2 hours ago.
Yeah. With not many wide receivers on the market in the offseason, a name to watch is Cardinals. Deandre Hopkins, as the team reportedly could unload some contracts this offseason. So, with what he said
that's not even bad. That's not even bad though. Like it would be bad if it was like Cardinals are in disarray and need to move DeAndre Hopkins ASAP to save his career. If he like that, just like Cardinals could be going in a different direction, DeAndre Hopkins could be moved because he's being paid a lot of money. Get this. If DeAndre Hopkins was making Greg Dortch money, D-Hop would be a Cardinal next year. No chance he would be moved. But I don't read too much into that.
I mean, 22 as far as how you deal and how you trade, and when you've got 22 million of 30 million that's due to him next season, or his cap number's 30 and then his dead money's 22, it gets a little tricky as far as trying to deal these guys. So they'd have to figure something out cap-wise.
Well, here's my take on it. If you get something back that can help you win short-term and long-term, if you get a second-round pick that's like, this is a starter minimum the next 4 years that we think can be good and extend. We don't know who the player is going to be, but we're getting a second-round pick, cost controllable. Okay, you consider that. But it's like we're unloading salary. We're doing a Dallas Cowboy. We're giving Amari Cooper away, who's had a great year in Cleveland, by the way, for a fifth-round pick. Hell no. Yeah. I'm not doing that. Awful. Because, again, you're not going to be better without DeAndre Hopkins next year, presumably, and you don't build for the future with that. Even
and if
time making the pick.
If it's Sean Payton, it's like you said, every waiver wire you're going to celebrate it. If every move, you'll just be like you'll paint it as a positive. Look at this genius unloading salary, and he's gonna go find somebody. He's gonna go find the next Mike Thomas, put him in the slot, next slot king.
I mean, think about do you remember a Saints draft bust while he was there, like a high profile first round Saints draft bust? Like especially on the offensive side, I cannot think of any that were just complete whiffs. Like maybe Reggie Bush, like they took Reggie Bush right behind Mario Williams, but they won a Super Bowl with Reggie. He had that big game in Chicago. Like literally everything he touches turns to gold, on offense. They usually would spend their high pay. Here's what's great with Sean Payton. Not to get off topic, he could take like day 2, 3 picks and make them stars. And then what would they always do in the first round? They would draft defensive players. They would draft pass rushers. They would trade up because Sean would be like, just give me a bunch of spare parts and undrafted free agents, and I'll make them stars. Because I don't remember too many, like Marcus Colston, Jimmy Graham, Kamara was a third-round pick. Mark Ingram, he was a first-rounder, but he ended up being pretty good. I don't remember too many, and then they took their linemen in the second and third round. God, I want him so bad. Please, come on. Cardinals.
I'm looking at it, man. I mean, I'm going back 5 years, and it's looking pretty solid.
Hit me with a draft bust on offense that he took early.
I'm looking. I mean, the third-round pick, Traquan Smith, might be the leader in the clubhouse right now, and that's not bad. That's not. I mean, he was like a wide receiver 3 for them. He was
pick was probably like pick 100 because they were picking late in the third. Look at that. Look at Jackson's tweet or Jackson's comment right here. Cooks, right? Which Brandon Cooks has been grossly underrated. Jimmy Graham, Marcus Colston, the Lattimore draft when they picked ahead of the Cardinals, the Patrick Mahomes draft is one of the greatest drafts in recent NFL memory. When they got Michael Thomas, they've got Ryan Ramczyk. Was he in that draft? They had like 3 stud players consecutive. It was like the Cardinals 04 draft with Fitz and Darnell Dockett and Carlos Dansby. That's what it was like. That 2000 must have been 2017 draft.
It's pretty sick, man. I'm just going. These are pretty good.
I can't when I can't think of a Keim quality pick, and then it's the flip for Sean Payton. I can't think of any of your busts. There's a reason you're a champion. You're a winner. I just and again, everybody feels like we're pushing our eggs onto the Payton basket. No, we're starting at the top. if Jim Harbaugh signed with this team tomorrow, I'd be over the moon for it, because I do think Jim Harbaugh this team parallels a lot of what he dealt with in San Francisco. He won with quarterback play that was in flux a little bit. Alex Smith off of injuries, hurt, thrown to the corner, NFC title game back-to-back years, taking Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl, they had a bunch of first-round picks. Patrick Willis hadn't won anything when he got there. He elevated all those players. I could not wait to see what he would do with somebody like Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons. This team has been both poorly constructed, but also poorly coached to the point where, like, I don't know who the good players are. I think I do, but I don't know how great they can be.
You guys that can play, 70 to 80 to 100% of the snaps, but as far as their impact, you can't undeniably say, hey, like Isaiah Simmons and Zaven Collins are killing guys on a down-to-down basis. You need those guys. You need those killers out there.
Ranked defense. You have no idea what you
right. Exactly. But I mean, gets me giddy. Like I said earlier today, I just hope we're not setting the fan base up to have their heart removed from their chest. Vegas is saying, I mean, bookies.com has them as the favorite. The Cardinals as the favorite right now. And
again, if you missed this earlier with the Durant stuff, Durant was never available.
Oh, as far as Kevin Durant?
Yeah, because everybody responded to a tweet. Like, we went through this with the Suns and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant plays for the same team because the Nets said, we're not trading you. If the Saints say Dennis Allen's our head coach, then they're going to trade him. He's leaving. Right.
As far as like if he was, that was the whole thing, right? I mean, not every single, all the odds are going to go the right way. But as far as who's the logical favorite, Vegas is going to be all over that. They're not just going to try to conjure up Cardinals money, like Cardinals fan base money. It's not going to net them the biggest amount of like money's coming in.
They're in the business of making money.
Exactly.
So they try to make even money, and the Cardinals are the closest by double digits. Can we get those Sean Payton odds back up? Producer Jacob made this banger of a graphic. If you haven't seen this, by the way, look at that. Look at that. Almost even money to be the next head coach of this franchise. And then we already broke down Dallas and LA. I'm sorry, are not
for our audio listeners only. It's plus 250 for the Cardinals. Denver's plus 400. The Chargers are plus 500, and so is Dallas. And then the field at 550 is your top five.
There were people in this market that said, that's a joke. Don't even entertain Sean Payton. He's not coming here. Bidwill won't do that. Sean Payton wouldn't entertain the Cardinals. Okay, maybe that's true. We're sitting here 2 months later. We could be 2 weeks away from it happening. I mean, we could be 2 minutes away from an Adam Schefter rap sheet tweet that says, Michael Bidwill, Sean Payton are having dinner tonight. If all things go well, they'll culminate a trade with the New Orleans Saints to make him the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say that that's not a possibility. You can't. Get that look back up there. Look at Michael Bidwill. You think he's tired of this shit? You think he's tired of what's going on? That's like, I got to get a winner in here, damn it. That is not a face of a guy that, number one, is going to run it back, and number two, is going to hire some OC from Detroit that has an under 500 record. That's a guy that says, I got to spend some money to make some money, and I need a winner. Come on, Michael. You got the private jet. Now get somebody to pilot it with you. Get your co-pilot. He doesn't fly the private jet.
That's the I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed look, right? I mean, that's where nothing has to be said, but all he has to do is give that look, and everybody knows he's fucking fuming.
Again, I'm sure we'll take a lot of heat because we're stirring this pot. Like, we don't know if Sean Payton's coming here, but to dismiss it, I think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to dismiss it as not a possibility, because then you're just dismissing everything. Like, you're dismissing all hope for this franchise. You get Sean Payton, you have a chance to be successful for 10 years. Like, everybody should be rooting for that to happen.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be dismissing the great work on our website. Go phnx.com. We've got our Howard Balzer articles up there. He's covering the team out there with me every day. He's in the locker room. He's at the press conferences. He's at practice. He's got the insight. He's also got the Hall of Fame voting capability. He's been around this game for 40 years. He's seen it all, and he's giving it to you at gophnx.com. Cardinals daily content from Howard Balzer, including some stuff for our diehards out there. Sign up and unlock some great stories, great content from Howard Balzer. Also, you got to check out the PHNX Locker. PHNX Locker, you get some hats like Johnny and I were wearing tonight. You get some great merch, like some great shirts. Mine came in just before the holidays. I was excited to wear them around fam. They asked me, is that your company? I said, yeah, this is PHNX. You got to get yourself some gear, and you do as well. PHNXlocker.com, and also sign up to be a diehard at gophnx.com. You get yourself a new shirt every year just by being a member.
Just to give you guys a little inside baseball, we were chatting with producer Jacob before the show, and we basically outline every week what the shows are going to look like, what we're going to do, the scheduling. And we said Black Monday that week, we may go live all day, every day. We may go live every day because we don't know what's going to happen with this team. It's like we were putting together our draft big board for the week of Black Monday. A potential GM change, head coaching hire, GM hire, Michael Bidwill press conferences, 24/7 content challenge with the Arizona Cardinals. My man to my left will be at every single press conference, giving you the inside. PHNX_Cardinals at Bullbrock. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcasts. Like this video. Guys, we're at the finish line here. We're off tomorrow. We are back on Friday for our definitive Atlanta Falcons preview with our guy Frank Sanders in studio. In the meantime, subscribe to PHNX Sports on Twitter. We'll see you on Friday. Night, everybody.